the finest television, KBN TV. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Kennedy Mambwe, sitting in for IP, our usual host, committed elsewhere, and the show must go on. IP, wherever you are, we represent you well, I hope. It's not easy to be IP, so I will try. I will try. It's not easy to be IP. I will be both the anchor as well as, an analyst at the same time. We'll see how best we can figure this out. But I'm not alone in the studio. On my immediate left is the distinguished, the honorable Ambassador Anton Mukwita, looking splendid. Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening, Pastor. It's sad we don't have IP this evening. Like you have said, it's a hard act trying to be IP. So wherever you are, brother, get better. We need you back here so that you can get a bit of a burden off the pastor. Good evening, Zambia.
And next to Ambassador is the speech analyst, Mr. Mike Sichula, otherwise known as the Mbala Mafia.
The Mbala Mafia in the house. Yes, Sichula.
Speech analyst, good evening.
Good evening, Pastor, and good evening to our dear viewers. I'm just surprised how the name is growing by the day. The Mbala Mafia, coined by the ambassador himself. Thank you very much, and it's a lovely Sunday to our dear viewers.
But you're from the Choli land, so Choli San, not the Salt San.
All right, thank you very much, and indeed it's a hard nut to crack sitting in for IP, but I'm sure the pastor is equal to the task.
The pastor is equal to the task. A lot of issues to be discussed on the analysis as usual. I know you know that we cannot save you anything that you cannot stomach, and I know that you are already glued, waiting to join us, to cheer us on, to encourage us, and to just say, you should have discussed another story. But guess what? The analysis is here for another Sunday. So in case we do not address one of your stories, be rest assured, it's coming. But for now, the U.S. envoy, Mr. Mike Gonzalez, the ex-envoy, who has since left the nation, I believe, sent tongues wagging. The envoy condemned the Zambian government on its failure to fight graft. In his moving farewell speech, he asked a question towards the end of his speech. Is this the Zambia you want? There's been a lot of reaction from the government and from stakeholders, civil society, the media, and ordinary people. They have reacted to this story. But before I ask for insights from our analyst on the show tonight, let's look at this clip from the excerpt of the speech given by Ambassador Michael Gonzalez.
Now, of course, the United States will absolutely continue to honor our long-standing commitment to the Zambian people to provide critical life-saving healthcare support. We will not leave Zambians without access to ARVs. We are actually redoubling our support to ensure that babies are not born HIV positive in Zambia. But against the unmitigated systematic theft of U.S. assistance, against the refusal by Zambian government to engage and to own or enable sustainable healthcare systems that serve the people, in an environment where only the most exceptional of American investors can do clean business, where Zambian government officials often can scarcely be bothered to take meetings with American officials or companies, not to mention capture the billions of dollars of its own money secreted out of the country to East Asia, or hold accountable the company that unleashes generations of cancer and birth defects onto the people without fundamental change. As the American ambassador to the U.S., to the Republic of Zambia, how can I ask American taxpayers? How can I ask the American Congress? How can I ask Donald Trump to continue the massive aid budgets that have been the hallmark of our relationship for decades?
That's just a short excerpt from a 22 minutes long speech. Let me start with you, Ambassador Anthony Mukwita. You listen to your peer.
Indeed.
You, as a former ambassador, he is now also a former ambassador. Break it down for us. What were some of the sticky points that he raised that are worth looking at?
But Pastor, thank you very much for this opportunity. It is indeed a very heavy speech to speak to, because one of the things that His Excellency Michael Gonzalez did was cast aside what we call diplomatic decorum, meaning he had taken off the gloves to say, today I am not going to be that ambassador that you see in the boardroom at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or in the conference room at State House. Today I am going to speak on the bus driver in the United States of America, the train driver in the United States of America, that poor woman in Minnesota or Brooklyn who does 2 and 3 jobs and contributes money to Zambia in the United States of America. Today I am going to talk to you as Michael Gonzalez, who is also a taxpayer, and to say that Zambia, we have been together for a very long time. Our journey has been long. It dates way back from 1964 when you gained independence. But as far as contributing to your health sector, to your to your water sector, we have been around with you from about 2000. But since the time I have been around in this country as the representative of the United States of America, we have noticed a couple of things go wrong. Once, we have discovered that there's been huge pilferage. There has been a raft of graft, especially in the Ministry of Health, where we have seen billions of U.S. taxpayers' money go into West or into private hands. And as a result, as a representative of President Donald Trump and that nurse in Minnesota, in Ohio, I am going to speak this before I leave. And this is what I speak. More than $7 billion we have given you. More than $50 million we have suspended. More than 23,000 health employees we have paid for you. But what have you given us? You have stolen money. You have pilfered that which taxpayers of America have given to you out of the goodwill. And hence I can't go out without stamping this as part of my legacy. We have tried to call for meetings face to face, mano a mano, so that we can discuss these issues, so that we can stop 1.3 million people that could die if we withhold this medicine. But you have not listened. All we get from you were notes such as noted. And I get the feeling, Pastor, from your preamble and your entry, and from my personal experience as a diplomat myself of almost 10 years, is that the American government, Uncle Sam, got tired of waiting to get a plausible answer from the government. Hence, Michael Gonzalez wept. He packed his bags, he left, and he asked one cardinal question. Is this the Zambia you want?
And on that note, I ask you to pause, and I'll be coming back to you. Speech analyst. In his speech, which you like to analyze, since you are an analyzer of speeches, you are the analyzer of speeches. In his speech, he denied the allegations that they have withheld the aid to Zambia because the government of the Republic of Zambia has not signed the new MOU for, the new MOU that attaches, allegedly, funding to America's quest of accessing the, what now they are calling, rare earth minerals. He rejected that assertion. He said, even without a new MOU, we still have been even paying some 23,000
Workers.
health
Workers.
workers.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, that was the 30th of April. It was the last day of that MOU. It should have been signed on that day, but it had not been signed. What's your reading into that?
Well, the ambassador was being very careful because I believe before he even made that statement, he had already read the mood of Zambians on social media with regard to Zambia giving its minerals to America for aid. A number of Zambians have not reacted to that with kind words. Some of them have been very undiplomatic and unfair in terms of commenting. So there was no way that the ambassador, in his farewell speech, he could run away without addressing that topical issue. And he likely did so. And based on that, we have also seen that the Zambian government has not commented on that issue. So it simply means that the ambassador was aware that Zambians wanted to hear that viewpoint from the American government. Is it true that the Americans want Zambian minerals for their wealth? So there was no way, like I did say, that he was going to run away from that topic. And as you also might be aware that even when these issues were being peddled on social media and various media platforms, the Zambian government did not seek an audience with the American government to ascertain whether that was true or not. So the ambassador took that opportunity to address that matter so that everyone can be clear. So now the onus now remains on the Zambian government to speak to its people. Because again, the way the ambassador came out, the Zambian government also needed to come out, whether it was true or not. Because these issues, people are talking about them on it's on the lips of every Zambian to say, surely can we donate our minerals for wealth which we can manage to have if we sold our minerals elsewhere instead of giving them to the American people. So it is important that the Zambian government should be proactive in responding to some of these things. Then away from that question, PK, there's one thing that I also wanted to react to in terms of his statement that he made to the Zambians. One thing that I've picked is the consistency. The American government has been consistent in terms of highlighting corruption allegation within the UPND administration. They have also been consistent even during the reign of the PF administration. Even during the time Kaunda was coming out, there were issues of corruption allegation lumped against the administration of the Zambian government. So why is it that all these American ambassadors have been consistent in terms of highlighting this corruption allegation? Does it mean that the Zambian government is not doing anything to address this matter? So let me highlight two issues. If you remember, when Ambassador Daniel Foote was, the Zambian government proposed to the American government that he must be recalled, though the issue there was different because he was against Zambia's decision to jail a gay couple. But when he was going, he also spoke to the issues of corruption within the Patriotic Front administration. So that is something that has been a pattern by each American ambassador to say there's this thing which you are not addressing. So again, Ambassador Gonzalez highlighted the same issues. So when all these issues are coming from foreign diplomats, why is it that the Zambian government is not responding? So what I mean by responding is, why is it responding in terms of addressing the concerns that are being raised by foreign nationals to say, look, there's corruption within your systems. And even here on the analysis, we have sat to say there are corruption issues that are going on within the Zambian government, but whenever people speak about them, there's this issue to say, no, these are disgruntled people, these are PF people, these do not mean well. But there's something that is striking that came out from the ambassador. He highlighted to say, why is it that the others are being pursued for corruption, whilst others, nothing is happening to them? Those are things that even on the analysis, we have spoken about them to say, why is it that the Zambian government seems to be fighting corruption of the past and not corruption that is happening presently?
Right.
The ambassador spoke about, you have, like ambassador said, all the Zambian government says we have noted. The ambassador wanted to see arrest being made on the allegations that they have presented to the Zambian government, but that is not happening.
Right. So before I come to Ambassador, just to refresh the memory of our viewers, we couldn't play the whole
clip.
The whole clip because
It's long.
It's long. 22 minutes is quite a bit.
But it's there on KBN TV.
It's there on our page. You can go and re-listen if you haven't. It has gained a lot of traction. Over 300 shares. You can imagine.
That's amazing.
That. Now, one of the things that Ambassador Gonzalez talked about, and I understand, I wasn't there, but I understand this exit speech. He spoke to most of these very, very, sensitive issues to a greater extent in the presence of some government officials. They were present.
Yes.
Now, my question is, he raised an issue of this administration's ability to appoint SEC DG, who, according to Ambassador Gonzalez, was herself facing investigations.
Yeah.
The DG is a female, right?
Yes, she is.
She is a female.
She is. I remember there was a lot of hula baloo on. Firstly, before we got to here, I'm sorry to cut you, PK. There was a hula baloo first on how she was more of a cadre before she was appointed.
Correct.
But then we didn't know that issue that you have raised.
That she was under investigations. So the ambassador raises a very critical governance issue, that how can you appoint a Director General of Anti-Corruption Commission who herself is under investigation?
Corruption.
For corruption. What are you saying? Is that a cover-up to say, be nice because we have covered up your investigations? And the government, and I would like for you to speak to this issue, Ambassador, the Minister of Foreign Affairs has been quoted in the press as saying the government is trying to verify whether those were personal opinions of Gonzalez or that is the stance of Washington. But then, even if it was the opinion of Mr. Gonzalez, should we appoint an anti-corruption commission DG who herself is being investigated? Do you have to verify that it's an opinion or it's a position of Washington? I am kind of taken aback. The very fact that there is silence on most of these issues from the government, is that an admission of guilt? Because they say silence means what? Admission. Now, I'm not qualified to comment on these things because I have never been an ambassador. You have been.
Indeed.
I need to ask you, what does this mean between the relationship between DC, Washington, and Lusaka? Given that for our government, our own government to react, they are waiting for clearance from Washington, DC. What does this say?
But Pastor, as a former ambassador myself and a person who has also studied international relations and served as a high-level diplomat for almost 10 years, what I can tell you is the relationship between Lusaka and DC is fractured. It's acrimonious. It's like that marriage that is about to break, but the only thing that is holding on to it is a counselor and bigger interests around, such as, for instance, the United States of America doesn't want to get out of Zambia because of Zambia's strategic global position as Africa's second largest producer of copper, and also as one of the countries with the best rare earth mineral deposits on the whole continent. Zambia itself does not want to leave this loveless relationship with Washington, because there is several other factors they have to look in, like such as how can they leverage their position with Beijing? How can they leverage their position with Moscow? But coming down to the bottom line of this, Pastor, when you talked about my cousin, whom I respect so much and I love, Honorable Mulambo Haimbe, State Council, Minister of Foreign Affairs, saying they're still trying to wrap their heads around the fact that they want to know whether His Excellency Michael Gonzalez was speaking in his personal capacity or he was speaking on behalf of the United States as an envoy to Portas Trump. In fact, to save you trouble, Honorable, Ambassador Gonzalez made it clear that I'm speaking on behalf of President Trump. He actually said in that 22-minute long scathing speech that I don't know, what am I going to say to President Trump about what's happening to Zambia? So clearly that was a man on fire who knew everything that he was talking about. Now, I have been in a kind of situation that Ambassador Gonzalez has been in. I recall while I was still serving as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary in Berlin, we got a call from the Bundestag, which is the Parliament of Berlin, with my press secretary then, Mr. Kellis Kaunda, whom, by the way, PK, you did a good job with last weekend when I wasn't feeling well with. But here is, to cut the point to the chase, was that we got a call that, Ambassador, tomorrow we will be discussing a very serious bill on whether to continue funding you towards budget support or not. The Bundestag and people that love your country and love you, they are concerned that one of your ministers was arrested by the Anti-Corruption Commission and is still going to the office. I think if this continues, you will not be able to get this money, because you know the Germans are very concerned about their money in the way it is handled, especially if there is all colors and shades of corruption being shown. Do you think you can do something between now and tomorrow in the afternoon when we meet? And can you imagine, this is about 9 o'clock in the night, and people think the life of an ambassador is champagne and caviar, glitz and grab. You don't sleep, you don't switch off your phone. So, well, as usual, I would have, like Jesus had many disciples, but there would always be one whom he would get in touch with. I think there would be St. Peter, James, and Brother Matthew. I called up Kedis, what do we do with this? And we quickly work on to the matter, because diplomats want immediate responses towards action for them to make the next move. I'm sorry for going around in circles, but I just want to show you that we acted on that particular issue, and the next day the Bundestag sat and they were informed of the actions that were taken. So therefore, the funds were not withheld. Right. But nobody will ever come to get.
So in essence, you are saying what has happened has fractured our relationship.
Our relationship with Washington, relationship between Washington and Lusaka right now is all over the map.
Right.
It's not very good, and I think we find ourselves also in a geopolitical battle where we have to kiss Beijing, and we also have to kiss Washington. So now Washington is beginning to think there is no love lost between Lusaka, especially if you have not been answering our calls, you have not been honoring our meetings, you have not been taking actions. We have given you what to do because we saw that there were pilferage. We have told you that this woman whom you gave a job as the Director General of the Anti-Corruption Commission was being probed herself for graft. You didn't act. We have given you the numbers of medicines that were stolen and sold still with USAID tags, and you have not acted. We have given you a litany of $4 billion that have been exiting the country as fixtures, and you have not acted.
So I wanted you to comment on one more thing, but let me first hear, because we need to move on to other. Mike, do you have anything to add on to this issue before we move on?
I think one thing that maybe I would just want to let our viewers know is that the Zambian government, through what Mr. Haimbe says, it simply means that they want diplomats who are going to have open checks, but their mouths should be shut.
Mm-hmm.
They want diplomats that are going to throw their money into the Zambia's health sector, throw their money into the Zambia's mining industry, but they should not talk.
Right. As we move on to a related matter, let me just read you 3 quotable quotes from the speech. Mike Gonzalez says, Zambia does not need money. It needs leaders who govern for the people with integrity. It needs the political will to put Zambia first. How you interpret that is beyond analysis. The next quotable quote says, the theater of commissioning a report to get a scandal out of the news cycle, but taking no substantive action on accountability is all too common.
Indeed.
He's basically attacking our government.
Exactly.
That you say we have found 16 containers,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not doing
But you're not doing
anything
it.
about it.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. He also says, another last quotable quote from his speech, he says, empty promises must be replaced with tangible action. Commitments must be honored. Laws must be implemented and enforcement and enforced consistently and equitably. It's a sham. It's a shock.
Yeah. It's undiplomatic.
It's undiplomatic
Yeah.
that someone should be telling us how we should honor our own laws.
Exactly.
Is he saying we are a banana republic? But I don't want you to answer that. Let's move on. Because our dear brother, respected, think tank, historian, lecturer, and all the accolades you want to give to him. Academician, researcher.
Teacher. Yeah.
This is
Guru.
Dr. Sishua, taking advantage of what has happened. He writes a long letter now, not at the American embassy, but focusing at the British High Commissioner, Rebecca. And he sends that letter to her to say, now that Michael Gonzalez has gone.
Built the bids, yes.
It brings me to the issue that speech analyst you raised. That does it mean that this government wants ambassadors who cannot speak? And this is what Dr. Sishua raises in his letter to
Rebecca.
to
The
Rebecca,
High
the High
Commissioner
Commissioner to Zambia from Britain. Says your disposition is that of fraternizing with the administration.
Yeah.
He accuses her of being too familiar with the system instead of doing her job. Do you think she could have taken offense in the manner that that letter was written, speech analyst?
Well, it depends on how she interprets the contents of that letter, in terms of her being becoming more outspoken in terms of some of the things that are happening which are bad in this country. Because remember, the Britain is not only a Zambian friend, it's a former colony. Zambia was under-colonized by the British. So most of the things that we have in our constitution, we adopted them from the British system. The education system came from the British system. The language, English language we are using from the British system. So for me, that letter, it's something that the British Commissioner should take with both hands. Why is Shishua telling the British High Commissioner to be speaking on behalf of Zambians? Because it simply means that there are some Zambians who are scared to speak, and the only people that can speak with immunity are diplomats. So that's how I look at that letter. Because where we are coming from and where we are is different. Where we are coming from, we had a lot of civil society organizations that could speak on issues that are affecting this country. Today, as we speak, very few civil society organizations are available to speak to the injustices, to speak to the abuse of authority, to speak to abuse of taxpayers' money. Very few civil society organizations. The other day, I don't want to mention this civil society organization. The other day, this organization, they were in the forefront of pushing for Bill 7. But the other day, I was shocked that one of the executive directors is complaining that we have got too many bills before Parliament. So now I ask myself, but there were a group of Zambians who said, let's not go this route. So why I brought this example is to show that the Dr. Sishua Shishua doesn't have belief in some of our civil society organizations to speak out. Hence, is jumping to the British High Commissioner to speak out the way Mr. Michael Gonzalez has spoken out. Because look, what Mr. Gonzalez has spoken out is what other like-minded persons have been speaking. I know, for instance, the likes of Bledna Changara, the likes of Fred Membe, the likes of Brian Munduwire. They have been speaking to say there is corruption under the current administration. A number of people have spoken at the appointments that the Zambian government has made of people that are questionable. Questionable in terms of their past. They have had issues which have remained unresolved. For instance, like the issue that you brought up. This is why the Zambian government should not be proactive. If this matter has been, it has been stated by the ambassador to say the ACC boss was under investigations, a proactive government could have told the nation to clear the air. But now we're hearing it from the other camp. It simply means there's no Zambian voice that is speaking. But we need to have Zambians to speak for this country. So if Sishwa Shishwa is jumping to go to the British High Commissioner, it simply means that there's a gap. But who has closed this gap? Because where we are coming from, we had a lot of civil society organizations that put the Patriotic Front administration under pressure. And some of the things that were being pointed out, the PF administration would act or ignore. But if they ignored, Zambians would have known to say, what the PF is doing is A, B, C, D, and it is bad.
We'll leave it there.
But now it is not happening.
Ambassador, speech analyst raises a very, very important point that Zambians are not speaking. NGOs are not speaking. Civil society is not speaking. I want you to speak to that. Why are they not speaking? That's number one. The question number two I want you to address in the context of Dr. Sishua's letter to the British High Commissioner is from your learned point of view, what would compromise an envoy that they shouldn't speak? Is there a chance, and we are speaking hypothetically here, is there a chance that as an envoy I can say, Zambia is endowed with minerals and land, maybe let me be close and nice to the powers that be, so I can come and build myself a retirement house, it's in fact in Zambia
Casa
it's easy.
de la Pique.
It's easy in Zambia to get land and a license of mining in Lower Zambezi or in Mumbwa.
It's possible.
or wherever. Tell me, I'm speaking hypothetically here, but maybe I cannot be far from the truth. What can compromise an ambassador that they can't be speaking and they muzzle themselves? In the media we say self-censorship.
Indeed.
You censor yourself and say, I'm not a Zambian, I'm just an envoy. Where do you see this matter within the context of this discussion?
But PK, that's a very poignant question that you ask. And let me start from the angle where you spoke first of ordinary Zambian citizens, that they are a little bit scared of speaking. And then I'll go on to what the speech analyst says, that this is probably the reason people are looking forward to diplomats to speak. Because one, they have diplomatic immunity, so they can say lots of things, lots of truths. They can say lots of uncomfortable truths without being touched. Now, if you recall very well, late last year and at the very beginning of this year, they had been concerned that there was some sort of a shrinking democratic and political space in Zambia. These issues were raised by the Amnesty International. These issues were raised by the U.S. State Department. These issues were raised by the United Nations Human Rights Commission, including our very own civil society here in Zambia, such as the Law Association of Zambia and the Chapter 1 Foundation, including yourself as KBN TV. So we set that one aside. It is an established fact that Zambians are very scared of talking. You can see this even on their socials. You can see this when you post something that appears to be controversial. There will be writing snidey, sarcastic, ironic remarks such as, "I don't have a lawyer." This is how we have started speaking. But if you are looking for a real stark example of where we are right now, you need not look any further, Pastor. You just need to look at the fact that the opposition have complained, the civil society have complained, that since the UPND government came into office in 2021, the opposition have not been allowed to hold public rallies.
Yeah.
The opposition has not been allowed to go out in the open space of marketplace of ideas to say that I, Brian Monduvire, I, Fred Membe, I, Harry Kalava, I, Sean Tembo, once you elect me, right now I'm a meat eater, but once you elect me, I'll become a vegetarian. We all haven't seen that happening to a very large extent. So we have continuously depended on people like Dr. Sishua, a very respected man, as the accolades that you gave befit him. So Sishua is insulated by what? One, the academic and the education background that he has. Two, by the distance. He's not here in Zambia.
Yeah.
So he has the luxury to speak the inconvenient truth, whereby you and I have to walk on eggshells. We have to walk on glass. Yeah. We have to think and think again before we speak, because we don't know who is going to be knocking on the door the very next day. So when we hear people like Michael Gonzalez, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary for the United States, and say, is this the Zambia we want? That's where you see there is 300 shares on the KBN TV website.
394.
394. And the numbers are rising, because we are talking about a story that only broke in the crack of the dawn of Thursday. Today is only Sunday, and this story is still running. And again, I would like to borrow a PK from Mbala Mafia here, Yas Chula, that the longer Honorable Molambo Haimbe, the longer Honorable Cornelius Mwetwa you take to answer this question, is going to come and bite you at the elections. And because people will be asking.
And what would compromise, quickly as we wrap up on this, what could compromise an envoy? Why were you compromised, or why were you not compromised?
You cannot be, because to begin with, you are protected. You've got diplomatic immunity.
So you can choose to be.
You can choose to be quiet, like most African diplomats choose.
Yeah.
They just stay. I'm just going to stay in my limousine, drink my champagne and caviar, send my $1,000 back home every day. But you know, you've got people who were told that you are going there not just to enjoy your champagne and caviar, as Michael Gonzalez. So you are going there to go and say, which is why you heard last year, and we discussed this story here.
Is it systematic that the civil society are quiet, as speech analyst said? Now that we should have also ambassadors being quiet. The only gentleman who was really aggressive on this trajectory was Gonzalez.
Yes.
He was always speaking.
Yes. But PK, before you even go to the Mbala Mafia here, I do believe, because I know there is usually a pattern in diplomacy, I do believe now that Honorable Gonzalez, His Excellency Gonzalez has spoken, you will see that there will be similar reactions from the British Embassy. You will see, and actions. You will see that there will be similar actions from also the European Union delegation. Remember, England is no longer part of the European delegation. You will see that there will be a concerted coalescing towards the position that has been taken by the United States of America. Believe me, His Excellency Gonzalez wasn't speaking that pipe like he had just one of the best weed from Chipata.
Now, you
He had
dear
that
viewers,
cleared.
dear viewers can join in this discussion. Please go to the comment, section. Tell us, what are your thoughts about these things? Should ambassadors be speaking? Should they not be speaking? Why are you not speaking yourself? Civil society organization, media
have no
houses.
lawyers.
No, I just want to encourage them because there is a constitutional provision in Zambia for free speech.
Yes.
Article 20 guarantees them to speak. Okay, so I want you to go into the comment section. Tell your neighbor and tag someone who should be speaking and tell us why you are not speaking. Let's move on, gentlemen. There's something else that has raised eyebrows. Yeah. That's the bill to do with the retirement package for the Chief Justice in this republic. I'm going to throw a few things out and then you can pick up from wherever you want to pick up from. Now, this bill to do with the packages of the Chief Justice is one of the 74 bills that are on the floor of the House.
Within 10 days.
And the 74 bills must be debated, must be scrutinized, must be reviewed by the committees, must go through first, second, and third reading within 10 days. Now tell me, do we have supermen and superwomen in Parliament that they should do 74 bills in 10 days? I do not know whether that's possible. But here is one thing I want to stimulate this conversation, gentlemen, that Chief Justice is a constitutional office. Now, any constitutional office, when you retire, you are entitled to a package.
Yeah.
As it stands, the Chief Justice office, it's not like they do not have anything. From what I gather, 80% of the incumbent Chief Justice goes, 80%.
80%, yes,
goes
of
to
what they get when
yes,
they're in the office.
Yes,
When they
goes.
leave office,
They continue.
they continue. They get, instead of the 100%.
Thank you. Who else is in the constitutional office? You have the
Service
secretary to the cabinet. You have the attorney general and the solicitor general. You have the auditor general. You have
president.
the public prosecutor. You have the president, of course. You have the director of public, prosecutions. You have the electoral commission of Zambia chairperson, Miss Mwangala Zarome. She's entitled to benefits. Even the former one, is getting 80% of the incumbent. Now the others are judges. So all of these things, all these offices that I have itemized, they are already provisioned for in the Constitution. The question that people are beginning to ask, why have we singled out the office of the Chief Justice only for him to receive much more than he's already receiving? And as I said, I'm just throwing a few things and you, my colleagues, can pick up. I want our viewers to know that at the judiciary there, they are already building a clinic and a gym. Okay? At the High Court premises. Are you aware of that?
No, I wasn't.
You are aware?
I'm aware. Yes.
You are aware?
Yes.
Okay.
I can move around a little bit.
Yes, and
Staying too much at home.
and now they are addressing the issue of the former Chief Justice, the one who is there when he retires. They are addressing that. Yet,
And they're addressing that he should get a house in addition to the 80%
yes,
that he already gets.
yes. Yet, the courtrooms, most people who have been frequenting courtrooms are saying the courtrooms are dilapidated.
Indeed.
So why are we worried about giving hefty packages to a Chief Justice who has already got provisions within the Constitution? Are you going to address the Speaker's retirement? Are you going to address the DPP's retirement? Are you going to address the public prosecutor's retirement? What's going on here? So close to an election. The Chief Justice office is very critical, gentlemen, and our dear viewers. In case of a petition, that is the man who should hear it and make a determination. Could this be an inducement? These are questions that members of the public are asking. Why now, and why only the Chief Justice office? And as I pass on, I did a bit of research on this. One of the things that you must know is that judges in this country already benefited from the sale of government houses.
Indeed. Yeah.
Okay, so they are not starting from nowhere.
Scratch, yeah.
As a matter of fact, most of the constitutional office orders, even though there is a house provided for by the government, they don't even stay in those houses. The
They draw
Chief
their
Justice,
housing allowance.
the Chief Justice himself, perhaps doesn't stay in a government house. They have built their own houses. They are comfortable. They don't have one house. They have more than one house. Okay, so why are we addressing this matter of the Chief Justice only in this bill, which is before the floor of the House? It must be debated in 10 days. Are you telling me, viewers, that our MPs will raise these issues that we are raising here and pass it or reject it? Tell me, Ambassador.
Let me jump in before Yasichola comes in. Firstly, we have to appreciate the fact that Zambia is one of the most poorest countries on the entire earth, on the entire planet. I mean, this country is so poor that even a church mouse would run away when it checks out at the poverty levels. More than 70% of the people in the country live in abject poverty under less than $1 per day. The debt is crippling, both domestic and international. The classrooms are crowded. Fuel prices are high. Minimum prices are high. Lots of children go to sleep hungry. Mothers die as they walk over to go to the next nearest maternity ward. So the reason I'm trying to put this forward, Pastor, is that I think we have gotten our priorities wrong. The Chief Justice, like you have already put in, earns about 500,000 kwacha annually. That is before you throw in the car and the monthly gas and the police and everything. And then when he leaves office, he is on pay for life until he dies. May his soul rest in peace, at 80%. This includes the same thing to the judges. So why do you want to put in, why do you want to throw in a house as if you are clutching onto straws from the air when you have not reduced the number of children that would be in one class, when you have not trained enough teachers to teach these guys? Is this the country you want? As Gonzalez would say, would you rather have this country where you are building mansions and palaces for the judges and the magistrates while children walk 5-10 kilometers to school? Is that what you want? And why now, 10 days before Parliament is dissolved, 90 days before the country goes to a crucial election? Why are we in such a hurry? I would have thought the most urgent thing would be for us to buy drugs, fill up all the hospitals with drugs, reduce the number of kids that get into a school, increase the number of bags of fertilizer that goes to the farmers before you can build a house at a multi-million costs for one judge. And while we're at that, Piki, I know you said a minute, while we're at that, what about other constitutional holders? When you raised this issue that it would come up, I thought that there were other constitutional holders, such as former governors of the central bank. I understand service chiefs, the air commander, the ZAF commander, the inspector general of police, despite ensuring that you do not hold a single public rally for 5 years, they're still going to have 80%. So what's good for the goose must be good for the gander. So if you are going to throw in this last trick for the Chief Justice, why don't you do the same for the former governors of the Central Bank of Zambia? After all, they are constitution office holders. In other countries where I have worked and served, former ambassadors like myself are also given a perk, 80%, 50% of what they used to get. In fact, last week in Nigeria, President Tinubu says, I'm tired of having diplomats coming back home hungry and homeless. He gave 70 ambassadors plots in Abuja. If you know Nigeria, you know there are two great cities. One is Lagos, the old disorganized one. The other one is Abuja. He has given a plot to each and every ambassador to say, when you come back, come and build. While you are away, build for yourself, because I don't want you to be desperate.
As you wrap up.
As I wrap up, if you are going to do it for the Chief Justice, why don't you do it for the former governors of the central bank? Why don't you do it for Brother PK and Yasi Chula? I don't mean literally that way. What I'm simply saying is, why don't you create more jobs? Why don't you slash poverty? Why don't you reduce the number of kids in a classroom?
As a matter of fact, as I pass on the baton to Yasi Chula, the Mbala Mafia ambassador, you've raised something. I left that out when I was researching on constitutional orders in Zambia.
Please.
The former Bank of Zambia governors are constitutional holders because they are ratified
by parliament.
By parliament.
Yes.
But guess what? They do not have a retirement
They do
package.
not have a retirement
So
package.
how come those anomalies are not being addressed in this particular
That's what
bill?
is raising suspicion.
Because, Ambassador, that right now we have another bill that is addressing the retirement package for former vice presidents.
Yes.
So you are normalizing everything, but you are skipping others. Critical, constitutional officers like the former Bank of Zambia governor.
And don't forget the former ambassadors.
And the former ambassadors. Once you retire, but you are not a constitution. Ambassadors are not constitutional.
No, then you make them constitutional.
No, because you are not sworn in. I think I want to follow.
No, we are sworn in.
No, you are not sworn in ratified by parliament.
Okay. We are sworn in.
You are sworn in, but you're not ratified by parliament.
So
you are not constitutional. And this is very critical.
I know. I'm just making light of something very important.
Why would you create something for the former vice presidents that was never there? But in fact, the former vice presidents, it's not a constitutional office. Because they are not ratified by parliament.
But you know there's something wrong there by PK.
I know.
Let me steal a bit of wind from you.
No, what I'm trying to say is there are these inconsistencies. So why
if you ratify one?
Ratify the rest. So the challenge to the government, as I go to speech analyst, is are you going to look at all constitutional office orders, including former governors of the central bank? Speech analyst, this particular issue we are discussing, that ambassador has ably articulated. He wants the former ambassadors also to be on the payroll, to have a package.
Indeed.
Like
everybody else in the region.
This particular issue we are discussing is one of the 74 bills.
In how many days?
In 10 days, because Parliament is dissolving on the 13th of May. Today is the 3rd. So we are talking about 10 days within which Parliament or National Assembly must discuss. Why? I feel like preaching. I feel the anointing coming upon me.
I can hear
I feel like preaching.
Hallelujah.
Oh my God. But I'm an analyst. Now, speech analyst, as you speak to this, I want you to marry it with the fact that majority of the members of parliament have crossed the floor and they are illegally before the House. How are we going to have laws enacted by illegal MPs and they should be enforced? I want you to speak to those things.
Well, it's a sad development for Zambia. When you look at the Ministry of Justice, I think the Ministry of Justice, where the Chief Justice falls, has lost priorities. What is their priority? Earlier on, you spoke about a poor infrastructure for the courts in Zambia. I can tell you today when you go to Chipata, the High Court, instead of building a High Court where there is something that you cannot even call it a High Court, the Ministry of Justice is renting from a local church So there you can see that there are no priorities. The Zambian government is not setting priorities. So when I say the Zambian government, let me be specific. The UPND administration is not setting their priorities right. Because when you go to places like Mongu, places like, let me say, Western Province, again, a local court, it's not something that you can call a local court. It looks like a building that has been involved in war. Something like in
Gaza.
In Gaza.
But
Or
don't go
Ukraine.
too far. Even the one in Matero, even the one at the Boma there.
Yes. So this is why I'm saying the Ministry of Justice, in as far as they are pushing these incentives for
Mansions,
for the Chief
palaces.
Justice, I think they are missing the point, because the Chief Justice is not serving in that office alone. He's got support staff.
Yep.
Support staff these are the people that are dotted across the country, from the local courts, Magistrates Court, until the Supreme Court and everybody else. Today, the Constitutional Court doesn't have its own well-established Constitutional Court. They just flip. Okay, today what is sitting is Constitutional Court. The other day it's a Supreme Court in one section of the court. So it means the Zambian government, the UPND administration, has forgotten about priorities. They are now appeasing people that they appointed into these offices, which is very wrong. Because the President Hakainde Hichilema, has told the nation that next year, if he wins the general elections, he's going to increase CDF. So meaning, you are going to put a lot of pressure on the budget. You increase CDF. On top of that, you are going to have a pressure to build a house for the Chief Justice. You are going to have a pressure to pay improved salaries and bonuses to former vice presidents. That is a lot of pressure. Again, the National Assembly is being expanded to 226. That means the taxpayers' money is going to come under extreme pressure, which is something that the Zambian government should be careful. Because on one hand, you have told our foreign creditors to say, hold on, we are going to pay you later through debt restructuring. But on the other hand, you are increasing the wage bill. So people will be looking at you to say, but these people, they are coming to us to say, let's restructure the debt. But on the other hand, they are increasing their wage bill. Are they being realistic? So why not then, why don't they just pay us our money so that we forget, instead of our debt being restructured to a much later debt? Then, speaking to the issue of going to 74 bills in 10 days, meaning in a particular day, because they are sitting even on Sundays, in a particular day they need to do 7 bills. But honestly speaking, even in school,
how many exams can you write?
Yes, how many exams can you write? How
Or
many?
study for?
Yeah, so in terms of retention, even a member of parliament, are you able to assimilate, understand each bill? Because each bill we're talking about is not something that is a one-page thing. There are a lot of jargons that you need to understand. The outcome of all this process, which the UPND administration is rushing, we are going to have gaps, where again people will begin to say, no, let's review this law because this thing is missing, this other thing is missing. So the appetite, it's something that is very questionable, and it has also been compounded by the fact that a number of PF independent members of parliament have closed the floor in anticipation that they're going to be adopted on the UPND ticket. So even if the bill has got gaps, these people are compromised, Pastor, because they are going to say, let's pass it. It's about pass. Because on the back of their mind, they're thinking, if I'm identified that I blocked this bill from passing,
I won't be adopted.
Yeah. So they have thrown away the patriotism for adoption, for an adoption certificate, which is very, very wrong.
So speech analyst.
I can see you missed the IP.
I know, we need to cruise, but we are having our core analysts who are viewers joining us online contributing to this. And I want to leave them with these questions.
Sure.
You, dear viewers, we want you to write down on our Facebook page. Let us know your thoughts. there is an argument, excuse me, from the UPND cadres saying even if members from the left that you have talked about have crossed and independents, the speaker has not nullified, so they are still eligible to remain in the house. But the law is very clear.
Once you cross the floor,
Once you cross the floor, and they haven't crossed the floor privately, we have seen them
publicly.
being
Paraded.
and they even give them chitenge
Yeah.
in the colors of the ruling party. That is public enough. Do you really need the Secretary General to write to you, Madam Speaker, that your own Speaker Moyo, as Deputy Speaker, has crossed? He is there. The records are there. Do you have to wait for someone to complain for you to? Dear viewers, I would like you to answer and help our decision makers see sense in why we have laws. Did they cross the floor or not? Did we see it on news or not? So why are they still in the house?
I think, Pastor,
And why are they going to pass critical laws, including the electoral process bill? If the illegal MPs, that is my question to you, dear viewers, if the illegal MPs are going to pass the electoral process bill, are you telling me that the Electoral Commission of Zambia will be in order legally to enforce a law that has been passed by illegal MPs? Where are we going as a nation? Did you want to say something before we move on?
I think Honorable Chanda Katoto has set example. He has gone to the Patriarchs for Economic Progress.
And he resigned.
And he resigned.
Yes.
As simple as that.
Yes.
The only thing that is going to be there is that his gratuity will be at least cut by the number of days that he has stepped out. So that is the morality that we are looking for from our elected members of parliament. Resign, because he knows to say what I'm doing is wrong. I've crossed the floor. I was PF, but now I'm PEP. As simple as that.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And I'm sure our director can show the face of the Honorable Katoto, where he deserves commendation from the analysis. That is leadership. But for Moyo and Sunday Chanda and
Anthony Mumba,
Mumba,
The guys that Sidney Mshala, is it Sidney Mshala?
and this gentleman
Kabwe.
from all of those who have crossed the floor, but you are still on the in Parliament, you need to reflect. Zambians are not dour or docile, and whenever there is a possibility of change of government, these are things that can come back to bite. Let's move on, gentlemen. About 29 presidential candidates have paid their nomination fees, and people are saying, game over, there will be no opposition unity. Because if, Ambassador, you pay your nomination fees, it means you're saying, I'm declaring my intention to run. So why would I pair up with the speech analyst? Quickly, 1 minute.
please go.
Well,
Yes,
I think historically, like from 2016, there were 19 candidates. From 2016, 19 candidates. Then 2021, we had 16 candidates. But that does not mean there were not more. There were more, but after vetting comes through. Have you managed to mobilize 100 supporters across the nation? So from the 29
100
that
supporters per province.
per province.
So that's how many?
1,000.
1,000. So some of these from the 29 that we have are going to fall out because of some of these requirements. Have you declared your tax clearance with ZRA? So all those issues are going to create a drop in the number of presidential candidates. But the argument to say this is going to split votes, I think to me it does not hold water, because the Zambian people, they know which political party speaks to them when it is out of elections. So if in terms of voting, they are going to vote for that particular candidate who has been speaking to them even before the general elections. So some of those that have filed in, you can clearly see that we don't have any trace of them to say these they participated here and there. I'll give an example. In 2021, the winning candidate got over 2 million. The second was over 1 million votes. Then the third was less than 50,000. So it clearly shows you to say, even if we are going to have 30 or 40 presidential candidates, the tie is going to be on the people that are very popular on the ground and that those that are appealing. Then lastly, this politics is a business. Politics is a business. So some of these candidates who are going to push their way to be on the final ballot, they know why they are doing so. They are doing so because they have a perception that in the likelihood that we don't have a clear winner in terms of 50% plus one, there's always that issue to say, let's now see who you are going to pair with in order for this candidate to have a clear winner. We had an example, for instance, in South Africa. The NCC did not have a clear winner. They had to get their support from other political parties. So this...
To form a coalition.
To form a coalition. So this is why I'm saying politics is a business. Some of them, they are not there to say we're going to win outrightly, but they are hoping that we're in the event that we don't have a clear winner, maybe...
Even those who are campaigning against the UPND,
Yes.
they will be approached by the UPND
Yes.
to say, let's
let's come down and sit down. Yeah. And just as I conclude, when you look at the alliance, the members of the alliance within the UPND, they are not credible opposition political parties.
National Nega parties.
They are not credible opposition political parties.
That's why they are not. That's why they are not running.
Yes. So this is why some people, even as they criticize these that have paid their 100,000 kwacha nomination fees, they should also ask themselves, okay, the people that are backing the UPND as alliance members, are they credible political parties that you can compare to Third Revolution Movement, that you can compare to, is it Resolution Party? Resolute Party. So,
what about that one who does?
No, that one is not a political party.
It's not a political party.
No. So, all in all, PK is that this is business. Let's not look at it to say this one doesn't have supporters. They know what they are doing there.
Okay. Ambassador, Mike Stula says, last election, 2021, we had 16 candidates, yes. But we had ultimately one winner.
Indeed.
So those who are saying there is no opposition because of 29 that have paid, they are probably misinformed. They don't understand the history of Zambian politics. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that Yas Chula is correct. Normally when you and I are doing a preview, an election preview for the international community, or international media, they will actually ask you, and who is around? So there is 30. Say, but who are the front runners? I said, well, there is Kennedy Mambwe and IP. Said, okay. So we are going to say in the preview that despite the fact that the field appears crowded, it's bound to be a two-horse race between PK and IP. So I see it going that way. And
who do you see as the
like if it comes down to
the four that you think you can say it's going to be the top four, top three?
So number one, because of incumbency, I will say that there's President Haka in the Hichilema. By virtue of office, ex-official, he's going to be there, despite the fact that we've got this crowded field. Then in no order of importance, I will say that, you know, Honorable Brian Mundovile will be on that. Harry Kalaba will be on that. Fred Membe will be on that, and
that will be four.
Yeah,
I asked you for four.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
That would be it, and then from there on, we're gonna start separating men from boys.
Women. Right.
Yes, not from women.
From
men
boys.
from boys.
Okay, sorry.
I know you love women just as much as I do.
Of course,
but
that's
mother,
what it's
my mother, wife,
my
sisters,
sister, my wife, my children, my daughters.
Yeah,
I love them.
That's how it's going to turn out to be. So, like you are a pastor, you know there is that saying in the Bible that many are called,
but few
are chosen. So we're gonna get to a level where we're going to. People already know that I'm not gonna vote for Muliokela. I'm not gonna vote for Cosmo Mumba. I don't mean any disrespect, but all I am just saying is that people know in that order of importance who is eventually going to form the core cadre of who is going to be at the top. Although if I may say so myself, I would have loved to see a united opposition, because then it narrows the path. You know, you are reducing the choices that people have to make.
Right. We'll leave it at that. But quickly, these two stories we'll discuss them. We'll discuss them
Indeed.
back to back.
Yeah.
Director, as we transition, I want us to watch this clip from the ECL lawyer, Honorable Makebi Zulu, because colleagues, the government and the ECL family are back in court, even after Mr. Muliro Kavesha informed the nation that President Hakainde Hichilema is willing to stay away from the burial ceremony of ECL if it is what is going to give the family comfort for a befitting send-off. I want us to play this clip from South Africa by Honorable Makebi Zulu, and also play back to back a clip where the president says he does not believe in witchcraft. He says he has no business with any body parts for anyone.
What am I going to do here?
What will he do with body parts? He says he's not interested. He doesn't believe in witchcraft. Those two clips, and then Ambassador, you pick it up.
Thank you.
Well, this development was necessary for purposes of moving forward because of possibly misunderstandings, as it were. This matter is before the Supreme Court. Ordinarily, if we were to follow the processes as is provided for under the rules of the Supreme Court, we should have been filing our submissions on the 19th of June, meaning that the matter ordinarily should take longer than it should take. The parties had agreed on an abridged process, but in the process, obviously there was communication between the parties as to how the matter should be handled. It is in that detail that things got lost, and we had the illegal movement of the body from Two Mountains to the forensic pathology services. That movement, we challenged that movement. We got an order and managed to secure the body. And now, for purposes of moving on ahead, it's important that the order that was given by Judge Ledwaba is respected. Over and above that, we have agreed on a mutually agreed mortuary where the remains will be, with access only limited to the family. And if any other person wishes to have access to the body, they ought to make an application to the court, with notice being given to the applicants in this particular matter, so that we could have a say for whatever purpose that they may think they need the body for. So that is the state that...
If I believed in witchcraft myself, in the years I was being persecuted here in Kitwe, in Chingola, when we were almost killed in Chingola, I would have been hiring ngangas. I have a bit of money. I would have been hiring ngangas. I never went to ngangas myself. In my family, the HH family, you will never find a nganga there. I don't believe in that. We don't believe it. I'm glad that my wife doesn't. We've taught our children not to waste time. The issues, prayer. But they must work. Kubombesha. But today I'm reading every day. People are talking about who is doing witchcraft on this, on what. No. Post-mortem is a normal thing, especially when people allege that this person was poisoned. A post-mortem is necessary. And the churches, I'm listening to what churches are saying. Churches must be part of the solution, not to be part of the problem. If you're a genuine church leader, be part of the solution. Don't put fuel on the fire, especially an artificial fire like this. Let's respect the 6th president. Let's bury him where the other 5 are lying. It's now presidency. It is now law, because there was a litigation. The 6th president, when he was in office, President Kaunda died. And some family members of President Kaunda, including the late Kaweche, may his soul rest in peace, and may Keke's soul rest in peace, did not want KK to be buried at Embassy Park. But the sixth president, when he was in charge, the one who is now we are fighting over to bury, simply said to the family, we are burying the President Kaunda at Embassy Park. If you want, come to the funeral. If you don't want, don't come. This is the man who is lying there. He was the head of state. We all listened to him. Okay, I was not allowed to go to that funeral, but I followed it on television. And he did the right thing. I want to commend the sixth president, President Lungu, for that decision. It was the right decision. And we all followed as citizens. What is different now? What is different now? Can we stop this sort of eating each other's fabric, insulting each other? I'm guiding as head of state now, as your chief servant. Can we direct our attention to things that require attention? Let us bury the sixth president at Embassy Park. That's what it's all about.
Thank you very much. So, Ambassador, there we are. The government of the Republic of Zambia and ECL were originally in court, but something has triggered their new meeting in the Pretoria High Court. And as you speak to that, I want maybe you speak to the court process. Speech analyst, you comment on the president interview on Radio Ichengelo, where he says he doesn't believe in witchcraft and he has no interest in any body parts for the late president, as has been alleged, because he himself, the president, said he has been reading and he has scanned the social media and he's shocked at the allegations that people are peddling, and he condemned, that level of divisive talk and hateful speech. Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Pastor. I think let me start first with the president, my cousin. And I say, Mr. President, I think you missed an opportunity that day when you had that interview with Radio Ichengelo and ZNBC. You had ample time to discuss the elephant in the room. You would have simply said, following the statements that you heard being attributed to my Attorney General, Muliro Kabesha, I am now telling you, I am now looking at you, fellow Zambians. I am making an open declaration that I will stay away. Following that story that you read in the news diggers, that I'm willing to stay away. I am categorically telling you now that I will stay away. I will let everything pan out the way things want, because I am not interested. I am tired of this.
Are you saying it's a contradictory because he said...
I'm just saying he didn't say that. We have never heard him make a categorical statement.
I mean, I want you to...
We heard Mr. Muliro Kabesha make a statement.
You have attributed.
We heard the news diggers. We did not hear
the president. The president on that interview, he said, ECO must come to Embassy Park.
Exactly.
So where is the missing link here between what the president believes and what Mr. Kabesha believes?
That's a major disconnect, and I am glad that you have mentioned that. If there is something that he mentioned at least 3 times, was that the president must come to embassy, where his other friends are, where all the other people are. So to me, that did not strike me as a president who had already said, I want to stay away. And then I was waiting for that light bulb moment when he would say, like Mr. Kabesha said, like news diggers said, I will stay away. If he comes away, I will stay away. But he did not mention that. He also went ahead to mention that it was constitutional for but he was a former commander-in-chief. He was a former commander-in-chief. He must be buried with full honors. I think there was a little bit of many gaps there, because we also know what the family says, and we also know for a fact that there is no law in Zambia. There is a law in Tanzania, the Dodoma Treaty for former presidents. There is absolutely no law. You can't make up a law. Ask State Counsel John Sangwa, JSP, over the Kaunda issue. That issue never went all the way through. But then that is just a little bit maybe of academic. The other issue on this elephant in the room or the body in the room, PK, is the complaint by the family, the former first family, their lawyer, their consigliere, the first lady, the former first lady, and the former first daughter. They are in deep complaint that the body of the 60th president was accessed without their express permission. That raises a lot of issues. I can't even start wrapping my head around it. And yet, again, Mr. Kabesha said, we did not have access. But then we do understand that the body was taken to a pathological center owned by the government. And then we also saw a Supreme Court order that Council Makebi showed, where the government of Zambia and the government of South Africa were being told to return the body and also show cause why you should not be convicted.
Cited for contempt.
For contempt. So clearly, these two had access to the body. Now, the question many people keep asking is, why is there this fight over the body? Which I think is the reason our president, our 7th president, incumbent, decided to say, to know what body parts, body parts. I thought he would have moved away from that. He had a very huge opportunity. And I always say this about the communication guys around him. Great guys, Clayson, Whitney, and others, great people. But when the president is going to be on such an important forum over an issue that has been boiling in the whole country, you should make him 2-3 bullet points issues to close the issue once and for all. One, I am telling you now, as President Hakainde Hichilema, I'm not going to be around at Edgar Lungu's funeral. Two, I'm telling you that whatever would have happened in the past, I regret it. I want us to open a new chapter so that we can move further. Three, you can blame the delay on me if you like, because I'm the president, I'm the big guy in the room, I'm the commander-in-chief. Let's move on so that we can be productive. But I think my cousin missed an opportunity there. And I think his communications people also missed an opportunity to say, can we now unite? It's been 10 months. We're going to 11. We're going to be a year in June. We're going to an election in 3 months. I don't want this ghost of Edgar Lungu to keep hanging on the nation. Let us bury it now. I'm not coming over. The story you read in the Daily Nation, or rather in the Diggers, is true. The story you heard from Kabesha is true. But we didn't hear that.
Right. Speech analyst.
Yeah.
Was it necessary, was it important for the president to seize that moment, as Ambassador has said, and spend so much time talking about he being an elder in the church? This is a Christian nation. He doesn't believe in witchcraft. Even though we had 2 gentlemen who were jailed and were under accusation of wanting to bewitch the man who does not believe in witchcraft.
Yeah.
And
So-
as you answer that, do you think ICO will be put to rest before August 13 elections based on the time that this matter has taken in a foreign court?
So, one thing that triggered my reaction to say, but why has the president stopped Mr. Akim from Lejo in Chengolo? If you heard clearly, when the president was about to start talking about the ECL issue, he told Mr. Akim to say, hold it, don't push it. So to me, I don't know what Mr. Akim could have asked the president as a follow-up question. To say, Mr. President, we heard from Mr. Antonio or Mr. Kabesha that you are going to do A, B, C, D. But the president put the journalist on hold and he began to speak. And in the end, he spoke about things that people already know that the president doesn't believe in witchcraft. And he spent more time on that topic. Instead of responding to critical issues where people are saying the Lungu family, they don't want you to be present at the funeral. So maybe as a follow-up question from Akim, who was interviewing the president, maybe the president could have had an opportunity to respond to that specific question. But the president made the journalists not to ask further questions on that topic or issue. So again there, he closed himself to get divergent questions that people are asking, because remember, we journalists, we are asking questions on behalf of citizens. But if the boss, who is the president of the nation, tells you, hold it there, don't push it any further.
But if you were the one interviewing, would you have kept quiet?
No, I wouldn't have kept quiet.
I would love to interview the president, and I'm not going to keep quiet.
I wouldn't have kept quiet because
yes,
he closed a lot of specific questions which needed answers, specifically. To just say, Mr. President, people are saying, the Lungu family, they are saying you should step away. And based on that, the Attorney General has said that you are willing to step away. Is that the correct position? Remember last week I said I don't trust if that was the correct position of President Hichilema, because
he never spoke to it.
Yeah, Mr. Kabesha is not the presidential spokesperson. Anybody can come up one day and say, no, I didn't say that. Then secondly, to your question, my thoughts were that this window where the two parties have agreed on this latest court appearance they had, I thought it is a great opportunity for the two parties to sit down and resolve all the impending issues, since they have agreed on the second issue of how the bodies is now going to be taken to a different mortuary, and whoever wants to have access should have consent from the family and the court. I thought this was a great opportunity for the Zambian government, if maybe the Lungu family are not comfortable with the previous people who were speaking on behalf of government, to reconstitute another team so that we sit down with the Lungu family. Because for me, when Makebi Zuru is speaking, you can clearly see that the energy levels he had from when this thing started are not the same. When you look at him today, when he's speaking, he doesn't speak the way he was speaking 7 months ago. So meaning they are probably also getting tired of this issue and wanting to have a way out. So where is the way? How can this way out come in? The way out in this matter can come in with the Zambian government. Because remember, the Zambian government is the bigger boss in this matter. To say, okay, let's sit down. And this is also based on what the South African government, through their foreign affairs minister, said, to say the way out is for the two parties to meet. If they keep taking this matter before the court, it can take as long as it can. But the way out is if these two parties can sit down and say, let's resolve the pertinent issues on this issue. And one of them should have been answered when President Hakainde Hichilema had an interview with Radio in Chengero. But however, he blocked the journalists from getting further questions.
We have to go. One big story that has shaken the international community, the international media, is the fact that the Zambian government decided to cancel an international human rights conference. Only 5 days. There is a statement that our director can flash on the screen there. The government of Zambia, 5 days to the conference, decided to cancel the RightCon conference. Now, Ambassador, that this conference was being prepared jointly between the government and the conveners.
Yeah.
Okay, who are access now. For the past 1 year, they have been engaging, reviewing programs, and so much more. Delegates, over 3,000, had booked hotel accommodation in Lusaka. Flights were already booked. Activity was supposed to be, Lusaka was supposed to be a hive of activity, basically. Forex was going to come, and it was an opportunity for us to showcase our, hospitality and tourism potential as we go.
Business potential.
As we go. Your thoughts. Let me start with Yasi Chula from there, and then I come to Ambassador to wrap it up.
I think it's a sad state of affairs that Zambia, which has developed a system of having nice facilities in terms of promoting tourism, and there's actually a deliberate move by the Zambian government to say if you're an association and you want Zambia to host, Zambia has opened its doors to that issue. But the problem comes in when you're going to have such a big conference to be cancelled almost at an 11th hour. So you have spoken about what has been affected. The hotel business has been affected and so on and so forth. A number of things have been affected. But one issue that I want to blame the government, even if the Zambian government wants to defend themselves. Because remember, behind the scenes, there are people that should provide accurate information to the Zambian government. So where were these people such that Zambia approved the hosting of this country, then later on decided to say, no, we didn't see this issue here, the issue of Taiwan. We also didn't see this issue of rights of minority people. Then we shouldn't go ahead. I think that is wrong. You need, when you are going to give consent or approval that we are going to host this event, you should have done your homework behind the scenes. So there were people who were assigned to this assignment, but they did not inform the Zambian government properly to say this conference that you want to host, there are the following issues and there are the following people that are going to attend, some of whom may not be in good books with the Zambian government. So before we say, yes, we can host, let's do our due diligence so that we don't inconvenience a lot of people from across the world. And at the end of the day, we are going to be missing such important events if this is how we are going to conduct ourselves.
Two statements have come out, one from the government ambassador. Mm-hmm. The government said the organizers failed to disclose certain aspects of thematic areas of discussion that do not align with the moral values of our country. That is a statement from the government. The organizers have said they think there was foreign interference. And they have made insinuations that China pushed the Zambian government not to allow the Taiwanese. Now, for context, viewers, the last edition of the RightCon conference was in Taiwan. So it was only natural that the former or the previous host must attend the next. The issue, Ambassador, that most people have raised is if it was only about a 5-man, 2-man, 3-man delegation from Taiwan, they could have been sent back at the airport, KKI. As they land, you put them on the next flight and say you didn't meet the immigration criteria. Send them back.
Didn't tick the boxes.
Instead of cancelling
the entire
conference over Taiwan, for instance.
But Piki, I agree with you there. I mean, anybody who has done a little bit of geopolitical studies or understanding know that China regards Taiwan as its renegade state. In fact, there is what is called popularly as the one China policy. The United States of America agrees to this, the United Kingdom, the European Union, and everybody knows that there is only one China. And Taiwan is one of the provinces of China. And it's not going to be so long before they take it over the same way they did with Hong Kong. That is unquestionable. They just don't want to use any military force. But now, if you knew very well that Taiwan was involved as the previous hosts, you would have simply told them that, look, we are going to host this next in Zambia, but make no mistake, because we respect the one China policy, you're not going to be around. But we're going to have you in our hearts and in our souls. That would have been understood from the very beginning, and nobody would have questioned it, because in geopolitics, everybody knows that. Now, fast forward. 5 days before an international conference. I've been in the foreign service before, Chula and PK. Normally it takes you a year for you to organize a conference of this nature, for you to put together the guest lists, for you to put together who the chief guest is going to be, and for everything. So it takes a lot of money. So for instance, the Zambian government knew that last September was the last time President Hakainde Hichilema would be attending UNGA, which is the United Nations General Assembly. And next year, in August, after the next year, whether there is a change of government or not, the Minister of Foreign Affairs already knows that UNGA is knocking on the door come September.
Yeah.
So nobody pulls the plug off 5 days before an international conference.
No.
You know, this messes up your chances of ever holding something important in future.
Yeah.
Because when you go to the bidding table, they will say, yes, sure.
Again.
But do you remember what he did last time? See, come on, that's a guy representing the country that pulled the plug off an international conference 5 days before the conference. Because even just changing a room and flights and during a last minute, you know the prices go up when there is an international conference center. So for instance, a suite in New York during the UNGA, a presidential suite will probably be about 70,000 US dollars per day. You know, so for you to get it at a lesser cost, let's say maybe 20,000, 30,000 per day, you need to book it in advance. And that way they lock it up and they leave other people out. Now, if you're going to plug off this event 5 days, unless you just say, I don't care, maybe, I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll win the elections, maybe we won't, who knows? I'm Donald Trump, you know. But bottom line is, this has dealt a very heavy blow on
President,
our reputation as an
as we go,
host.
Ambassador, President Harry Kalava issued a statement almost immediately after the government cancelled.
Yeah.
He said the UPND government were scared that this human rights conference would have exposed the human rights abuses. You talked about...
I tend to agree to that because you remember there has been lots of concerns raised by Amnesty International about our rights standing.
Human Rights Watch.
Human Rights Watch. There's been the United Nations High Commission for Rights itself. There has been several other institutions, Chatham House, and including the local ones. So my reading, following my former boss, Honorable HK, is that it could have also been some sort of a concern from the government that, oh, now all these bad guys are going to be in one room and they will be with all these charts and placards hitting us on that. But that's covering up. You know, like they say, like for you and I from the media background and even practice, is that the cover-up is mostly worse than the crime. You know, because when you do the cover-up, like if you remember which gets scandal is that where there's Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward in the States. Anyhow, yeah. So when you do a cover-up, people now start asking questions. Even those that didn't know about it now are asking. You mean that even those that didn't know there was supposed to be this RightCon conference, now they are asking. It's like I may divert from here by PK, our host and moderator.
But we gotta go.
Yes, we gotta go. It's like this thing I'm hearing that Your Maps has a song where which has been banned. So now I'm beginning to wonder, why has it been banned? I don't even care about Your Maps, but now I'm beginning to wonder that there is this song that has been banned. So it's the same thing.
Has it been banned?
Yeah, or rather they have instructed him to edit some scenes that are explicit, which he has refused to do. He's playing to the gallery.
Yeah.
So you see, he has now seen an opportunity to sell this song even more. I mean, it's going to go in the black market. So it's the same with this conference.
Yeah.
Be careful when you want to pull the plug of something. Think of what is called the blowback theory. What is going to be the immediate reaction from other people? And how are they going to start interpreting it? So now people are talking about human rights. They're talking about the shrinking democratic space. They're talking about no public rallies in 5 years. They're talking about cyber laws coming up. They're talking about all sorts of stuff which nobody even knew about. So, you know what, PK, Nalanda,
Epompelele, and that's it for tonight on The Analysis. I'd like to thank my resident analyst, Mr. Mike Sichula on the far left, Ambassador Anton Mukwita. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and good evening to our dear viewers.
Good evening, viewers.
So that's it. I've been sitting in for IP. I couldn't do it any better than he does. I was learning.
IP, don't be jealous.
But I think next week, IP will be back. My name is Kennedy Mambwe, and on behalf of my director, William Chongo, the Lord bless you. The Lord watch over Zambia. We love you and we are praying for you. Bye-bye for now.